The wheels of sleek carry-on luggage hummed across the polished marble floors of Terminal C at Dallas-Fort Worth International, threading through the din of departure announcements and the laughter of children tugging at their parents' hands. Travelers in suits, sweatpants, and sunhats moved in overlapping currents, each charting their own path to somewhere else. Gate C-12 was preparing to board Horizon Wings Flight 145 to Washington, D.C. The placid voice of the gate agent invited first-class passengers to step forward. Isaiah Monroe walked at a pace that was neither rushed nor idle, the gait of a man who knew exactly where he belonged but had no desire to make a show of it. He wore a navy blue cashmere sweater over a crisp white shirt, tailored dark jeans, and burnished leather shoes. His appearance was polished but understated. At 47, Isaiah carried the kind of calm that made others pause without knowing why, a man who, if he chose to speak, people would listen. He handed his boarding pass to the gate attendant, a young woman with a carefully constructed smile. She scanned it and glanced down, then back up at him. 3A? She asked, hesitating just enough for him to notice. Yes, Isaiah said with a gentle nod. There was a flicker of something in her eyes, confusion, perhaps disbelief. But then it disappeared behind professional cheer. Of course. Welcome aboard. Isaiah didn't respond. He moved down the jet bridge, stepped soft, gaze steady. But something had shifted. The moment had cracked the air just slightly, enough for the breeze of suspicion to drift through. Inside the cabin, first class was nearly full. Isaiah walked past the plush seats and blinking screens, the clink of glasses and the low hum of private conversations. He passed a white man in a navy pinstripe suit who glanced at him, blinked, and turned back toward the window. No recognition, but not quite neutrality either. Isaiah reached 3A, stowed his bag neatly overhead, and sat. The moment he sank into the leather, he felt it. A change in the air pressure that had nothing to do with altitude. A flight attendant approached. Her name tag read Karen Barnes. Her smile was automatic, eyes alert but empty. Excuse me, sir. May I see your boarding pass again? Isaiah raised an eyebrow, then pulled it from his coat pocket without a word. She studied it, nodded a little too quickly, and handed it back. Just verifying, she said, as if to herself. Isaiah said nothing, but his silence had weighed. A few minutes passed. Then another uniformed figure entered the cabin, a pilot, not the one in the cockpit. She approached Barnes. They whispered. The pilot's eyes flicked to Isaiah. Then she disappeared again. Moments later, a third person appeared, this one unmistakably in charge. Captain Ronald Blake. Mid-50s, silver hair, shoulders set like an ex-Marine, his stride as clipped as his voice. He stopped at row 3. Looked directly at Isaiah. Sir, he said, there appears to be a seating issue. This row is being reassigned for operational purposes. I'll need you to move to another seating coach. Isaiah remained still. There a problem with 3A? Captain Blake cleared his throat. This seat is reserved for technical staff coordination. We're asking for your cooperation. Isaiah tilted his head. My boarding pass says 3A. First class. That hasn't changed. There was a pause. It spread, quiet and sharp, across the cabin. Passengers turned pages more slowly. Phones were lifted subtly. A businessman 2 rows ahead lowered his laptop screen just enough to eavesdrop. Barnes stepped closer. Sir, we're just trying to resolve this quickly. Your seat's been reassigned. No, Isaiah said quietly. It hasn't. I'm where I'm supposed to be. Blake's jaw flexed. I'm trying to avoid escalation. Then don't escalate, Isaiah replied calmly. You're asking me to move without cause. A woman in 4C leaned toward her husband. He shook his head slowly. A murmur passed through the cabin, soft and uncertain. Barnes sighed. Sir, please don't make this difficult. You're making it uncomfortable for the other passengers. Isaiah turned to her. No, I'm making it visible. Without raising his voice, he reached into his coat pocket and pressed a number on his phone. This is Monroe. Confirmed event. Flight 145, Gate C-12. Incident in progress. Potential Title 6 breach. FAA compliance engagement requested. He ended the call and slid the phone away. Captain Blake's face had turned crimson. Are you threatening us with a phone call? I'm documenting, Isaiah replied, and resisting an unlawful request. The silence turned brittle. Someone whispered, What's happening? Another reached for their phone. Barnes tried again. This is unnecessary, Mr. Isaiah met her eyes. What's unnecessary is pretending this is about procedure when it's clearly about perception. An older woman across the aisle spoke up, voice firm. You don't treat everyone else like this. Captain Blake looked at her. Ma'am, please stay out of this. You stay out of decency, she shot back. Before more words could be exchanged, the cabin speakers crackled. Ladies and gentlemen, the gate agent's voice announced, please remain seated. Flight 145's departure is delayed pending an FAA procedural clarification. The cabin stilled. 10 minutes later, two men in dark suits boarded. No announcement, no fanfare. They spoke briefly with the captain and Barnes. Both were asked to step outside. A third man followed, tall, in a sharp suit bearing a Horizon Wings corporate badge. Isaiah recognized him. Gregory Linwood, senior legal liaison. This wasn't a routine check. This was containment. Linwood approached Isaiah. Mr. Monroe, he began in a low voice. We understand there's been a misunderstanding. If you're willing, we can rebook you privately. No, Isaiah said. I'm flying in 3A. Today. On this flight. Linwood hesitated. We'd prefer to de-escalate before this goes public. Isaiah looked at him. You're already too late. Linwood straightened. There may be media inquiries. I look forward to them. With a stiff nod, Linwood turned and exited. More minutes passed. Then, a new captain boarded. A black woman in her early 40s, Captain Denise Howell. She moved with the calm authority of someone who knew exactly what she was walking into and didn't flinch. She passed Isaiah, nodded slightly, and entered the cockpit. The doors closed. The cabin lights dimmed. Flight 145 taxied onto the runway, 34 minutes behind schedule. But something had shifted. Not just in the air. In the cabin. In the story.at cruising altitude, another visitor approached Isaiah. Not a flight attendant. Linwood again. Mr. Monroe, he said, taking the seat beside him. Isaiah didn't look up. I want to be clear, Linwood said. What happened on this plane today doesn't reflect Horizon Wings values. Isaiah turned to him. Yes, it does. It reflects them exactly as they are, not as they claim to be. Linwood blinked. We're reviewing Captain Blake's actions October 12th, Isaiah interrupted. Linwood frowned. I'm sorry. Flight 2381. Chicago to Denver. An elderly black man, Harold Nesbitt, was removed. Died before takeoff. Captain Blake was at the helm. Linwood stiffened. That incident was ruled a medical emergency. After the flight report was altered. After a flight attendant's statement was scrubbed. Linwood swallowed. That's a serious accusation. I have the original. From an anonymous source. 6 weeks ago. Linwood's mask cracked. What do you want? Isaiah stared ahead. The files. Unedited. Nesbitt's incident. All similar removals. Complaints. HR reports tied to Blake. I want them on the FAA's desk tomorrow. Linwood inhaled deeply. And if we don't? You will. Or this won't stop at headlines. It will go to hearings. I'll be the first witness. The flight landed in Washington. No fanfare. Just subtle nods from passengers who understood. Even if they didn't know the details. As Isaiah stepped off the jet bridge, a man approached. Tall, dark coat, earpiece. Director Monroe, he said, handing over an envelope. Office of Aviation Ethics. Isaiah took it. Was it worth it? The man asked. Isaiah looked past him toward the terminal, where travelers bustled and luggage spun on carousels. He thought of Harold Nesbitt. He thought of the reports that disappeared, of the silences no longer tolerated. Yes, he said. The next morning, headlines flared across the country. FAA director refuses to move. Airline faces federal scrutiny. A leaked video from row 5 showed Isaiah sitting calmly in 3A, declining to move. It had over 6 million views by breakfast. By afternoon, Horizon Wings issued a statement. Apologies. Pledges. Notably, it included Harold Nesbitt's name. At FAA headquarters, Isaiah sat at his desk, blinds half drawn. His phone vibrated with calls he didn't answer. He stared at the blinking cursor on his screen, then began to type, Flight 145. Internal observations. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives in silence, in the form of a man who refuses to move. He paused. then continued.